You are Locked On Wolves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
T-Wolves 5-game win streak snapped tonight at home against Phoenix despite 40 from Ant-Man. Rudy Gobert ejected in the third. We'll break that down, 108-105. That was your final. 15-9 now on the year. What's going on back in the lab? Back at it, another T-Wolves postcast, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which thanks to you guys now the number one sports podcast network. That's Jack Borman, Wolves expert, NBA expert. Give him a follow on X at Jared Borman13, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. And of course, you got to follow our guy, Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On Timberwolves show. Remember to like and subscribe. Find all the video on the Locked On Wolves YouTube channel, and of course, all the audio wherever you find your podcast. Lots to get into, Jack. Who fudged up the most tonight? Biggest X factor and our game MVP from this one. But just off the top, man, obviously, Wolves are hot riding this 5-game win streak. They lost to Phoenix. Everybody remembers this last time around, 2 weeks ago with that horrible final 2 minutes of play. That loss led to 2 more bad losses right before this team started this 5-game win streak. So definitely felt like maybe a bad taste in their mouths. I know that I'm sure they wanted to get some vengeance tonight for sure, but that was not in the cards. Weird game, kind of. Rudy Gobert ejected in the third quarter. Ant takes over. He had another monster night with 40 points, but just a little too late in the end. Wolves dropped this one again, 108-105. 5-game win streak snapped. Just take it from there, man. Walk us through maybe the final few minutes if you want, but overall, obviously, I want your big picture kind of knee-jerk reaction as well.
Yeah, very, very fun for me to take a break from my vacation to tap in for this Wolves game tonight and hop back on it here. Just a second really bad loss to the Suns in as many weeks.
Yeah,
I think those are probably the 2 worst losses of the season for the Timberwolves against the Suns. And I think, Chris Finch has talked about this team feeling bored at times this season. And, I can understand that on some level as a team that's been to the Western Conference Finals 2 straight years and has certainly shown a propensity to rise in the playoffs. I think when you give your best player like Ant the ability to prepare for what he'll see, I think he does great, obviously. But in these types of games, it looked like the Wolves just had no interest in playing any type of perimeter defense unless it was against Dillon Brooks, right? Because everybody wants to get up and play physical and perform against Dillon Brooks. But the perimeter defense was awful in this game. They didn't hustle back very well off of misses or makes. It resulted in a lot of semi-transition possessions that didn't allow the Wolves to get matched up correctly, and they struggled to contain the ball, right? I think, far too often the Wolves got, crushed by screens, just didn't fight hard enough to get over, didn't communicate well on switches. And then the other thing that happened way too frequently in this game was that whomever it was for the Suns that was taking the ball up the court would start really coming with a head of steam around the opposing, the 3-point line on the other end of the court. And instead of trying to stop the ball, the Wolves would just reach instead of trying to move their feet. And it resulted in Phoenix getting into the paint with a full head of steam. And then, we'd either have a layup or a drop off or a dunk, a lob, or, a kick to the opposite corner that would result in the defense getting in rotation and way too many open shots for Phoenix. And that was why they shot so well from 2 in that first half, especially. And again, just only forcing 9 turnovers against a team that put the ball in Dillon Brooks' hands as much as he did tonight. Obviously without Devin Booker for the Suns and still without Jalen Green, of course. But only forcing 9 turnovers against a team of this caliber offensively is pretty bad. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Jordan Ott, who's a first-year coach for the Suns. I mean, this team is playing really, really hard. They're sharing the ball really well. And I really like the shot mix that they have and kind of the way that they're working to get their shots has been good to see. But yeah, offensively for the Wolves tonight, it was really the kind of the 3 stars, if you will, between Ant Julius and Rudy Gobert in this game. In the first half of this game, those guys scored 44 of the 57 points. And Jaden, Dante, Naz, only 2 of 13 for 7 points, 4 turnovers. They had twice as many turnovers as makes in the first half. Didn't really get any better. And that was tough for Ant because Ant was incredible in this game. He had 40 points. It was his third 40-point game in the last 10 games and his 7th game with 30 or more in that span. But I loved Ant's shot mix tonight. I thought this was one of the best scoring games of Ant's career. I thought the way that he scored from all over the floor. If you look at his shot chart in this game, there is green in just about every quadrant of the offensive part of the floor. I mean, he had 16 points in the paint. He made all 8 of his shots in the paint. all 5 at the rim, which is awesome. He had 9 points from 3. He had 8 points in the mid-range. And those, 8 points in the mid-range, made one shot at either elbow and then made turnaround jumpers in the post over either shoulder, which was awesome to see in kind of the Michael Jordan fashion. And then for Ant as well, I thought, again, 2 of his threes that he made were off of offensive rebounds, which is another big story for the Timberwolves in this game. They did really well on that side, had 13 offensive rebounds for 18 second chance points. But again, for Ant to go for 40 on 21 shots, made 15 of his 21 shots, added 7 more from the free throw line. He was a +4 in a game they lost by 3, and he played minutes. So, it was just more about the fact that the non-stars just didn't really have anything to give in this game, right? Dante, 2 points, 0 of 6 from 3, 1 of 7 from the floor.
Man.
Jaden, 0 of 5 from 3, 1 of 7 from the floor. Missed a game-tying 3. It was kind of a grenade, a tough spot. But he only had 4 points. Nas, 6 points on 12 shots, missed a game-tying 3 inside of a minute left. Mike, 0 points, 0 of 5 from the floor. TJ, 0 points, 0 of 1 from the floor, 3 fouls. And you just add it all together. I mean, Wolves were 0 of 6 from 3 in the first quarter, 11 of 42 from 3 on the night. That's the second fewest makes they've had in a game this season. And then their lowest percentage, 26%, which was really unfortunate. They didn't make a 3 until the 10:39 mark of the second quarter, and they were sitting on 1 made 3 through a quarter and a half. So I think just really tough shooting for the Wolves. And I think, if you're Ant or Julius Randle, I don't think you're really sitting around thinking, what else could have I done? I think it was more about, those guys not being able to step up, and then obviously Rudy Gobert getting ejected.
Besides all that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln kind of vibe tonight for sure. And good segue, by the way. Let's play the blame game here with who fudged up the most tonight.
Uh-oh, somebody messed up, and it's time to let them know with who fudged up.
And kind of like you already touched on, I got to imagine Rudy Gobert getting himself ejected has got to be a nominee on your list tonight for this. But who fudged up the most in this one tonight, Jeff?
Yeah, I think you got to go. I'm going to highlight that, but there's one other one as well. I think so. Start with Rudy. It was absolutely the right call on this ejection. And a couple possessions earlier, Mark Williams got Rudy on the head, and Rudy kind of balled up a fist, like we've seen Rudy do, kind of show that he's frustrated, but then kind of talk himself down off the ledge internally. And it was just a really poor display of composure from Rudy. And I think for Rudy now, he has 5 flagrant foul points in these 24 games. And if you pick up a 6th flagrant foul point, he gets ejected for a game. And so, they were talking about this on the broadcast, but unlike technical foul points, which reset at the end of the regular season, those flagrant foul points don't reset.
Interesting.
And that was a huge reason why Golden State didn't win the finals in that 2016 season, was because of that rule and how it impacted Draymond Green. And obviously we know the rest of it. But for Rudy, that's going to be something to follow. I know we've talked about Ant in the past with his technical fouls and that being an issue, but for Rudy, this is a thing, right? And I think for Rudy, he's just got to be really smart, and I hope it doesn't dissuade him from playing tough interior defense. But I mean, a play like that, he knows better than that. If a guy did that to him, he'd want to swing at a guy. So I think for Rudy, what was interesting was this was probably the best game of Rudy's season through when he got ejected. I mean, Rudy, and it was offensively that he was being really impactful, right? I mean, he had 15 points, 7 of 9 from the field, 8 rebounds, and he had a steal. But in the dunker spot, he was tremendous, right? Whether it was Julius Randle getting that big in the drop coverage to step up, and then he laid it off for Rudy inside. Jaden threw a lob dunk to him. Ant threw a lob dunk to him. He had 17 made lob finishes in the season coming into tonight. He had 4 in the first half of this game. So I think, again, for the Wolves tonight, they had an offensive rating of 140 with Rudy on and 94 with him off. So it was pretty drastic how differently they played. And a lot of that had to do with offensive rebounding. The Wolves had an offensive rebound on 43% of their missed shots with him on the floor. That dipped to just 19% with him off the floor. And for reference, 40% is the best mark in the league, which is where Houston is sitting right now. And 19 would be, well below the worst team in the league. And then their assist to turnover ratio was double. It was 2.6 with Rudy on, 1.3 with him off. And I think Rudy was just a really good pressure release valve for Ant and Rudy and Jaden in the middle of the floor. And Rudy doesn't really get enough credit for how well he spaces from the dunker spot. Like, he just moves really well with the action in the half court, and was a huge reason why the Wolves were tremendous in 2-point shooting with him on the floor. I mean, their 47% of their shots came from two with him on the floor, and they shot 75% on those shots. And then they actually took more shots from two when he was off the floor, about 51% of their shots. They only shot 62% on those shots, which is still a good mark, don't get me wrong, but it's not 75%. And I think without Rudy's screens there, it's just really tough for them to be able to consistently get into the paint. And I think their spacing was a little screwy without Rudy. So a weird game where they really needed him on offense. But I think also Jaden McDaniels too needs to be in the conversation.
No
I
doubt.
thought this is the worst game of the season from Jaden, just in terms of his
Just
energy.
lackadaisical, energy-wise? What was it exactly that you saw today?
Yeah, I think for Jaden, it just he wasn't really getting into it on the defensive end of the floor. I thought he did an admirable job playing the five defensively and reserve of Rudy Gobert, but he did so much reaching and didn't really want to move his feet very much on the defensive end of the floor. He was playing more of a chaser role on Grayson Allen in the start and got caught up on screens and allowed Grayson Allen to curl tightly off of screens and get into the middle of the floor, and rolled out a red carpet for him to get to the rim early in this game. And then he just got completely dominated by Colin Gillespie in the pick and roll game, for the majority of this game when those two are matched up together. And I think for Jaden, he should be able to take one or two of those, at minimum, one of those guys completely out of the game with how talented he is defensively. And then on the offensive end of the floor, he was a complete zero on that end of the floor. He just did not impact the game in any way, which is a real bummer coming off of what was one of his best offensive games of his entire career the other night, and we all saw how important he was, especially in that second half. So just a bummer game from Jaden. I have no problems that that's going to continue or that's going to fester, but just really disappointing, I guess, that one of your best players, especially coming in riding hot, knowing your best player was on the injury report or status report with an illness, just couldn't really do much to help him out on either end of the floor.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
You mentioned the injury or the injury report coming in. Looked healthy tonight. I said this a few nights ago. May get redundant when you got a player like Ant. Doesn't mean it gets old. Even in a loss, I mean, this guy had, 41 against Phoenix 2 weeks ago, puts up another 40 tonight. So real quick here, Jack, tonight's player of the game for the Wolves. Even in a loss, let's hear it.
Obviously it's going to be Ant. I think, again, for Ant, going back to it, for me, it was just the diversity and how he impacted the game, right? I think he was in complete control of what he wanted to do on the offensive end of the floor, got to his spots, was able to elevate over guys. And I think for Ant, the ability for him to, stay up off the ground is really important. I think prevented him from, being down and the opponent having some runouts going the other way. So for him to be able to finish from two as efficiently as he did tonight, I think will really stick with me. And I think the thing about Ant that really separates him from, other elite players in this league is just his ability to really have a great sense of how to mix different things into his game, whether it's getting to the mid-range, getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line, pulling up from three. I just think he keeps defenses off balance in a way that's fun to watch. And I think for Ant, again, nothing negative you can say about him or the energy that he brought to this game, especially while he's been dealing with an illness. So great night from him, and hopefully he can continue to keep it rolling as the Wolves will start to play some stiffer competition here coming up.
Plenty more deep dive. Biggest X factor tonight. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Monarch Money. You ever go check your bank account and go, where'd my money go? Dining out, online shopping, entertainment, so easy to lose track, isn't it? Well, that's where Monarch Money comes in. Not just another budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You track all your accounts, your investments, your spending. It's all in one place, so you stop just managing your money and instead you start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com. 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA. You're getting half off your entire first year. This episode Also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, without a doubt. Most fun I have playing daily fantasy because you can win up to 25 times your money this NBA season. And why I love it, so easy to play. All you got to do, you select 2 or more players. You pick more or less on their projected stats. Could be points, rebounds, assists, 3-pointers, you name it, they got it. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Right now, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the code LockedOnNBA. You're getting a first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code LockedOnNBA at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. 100% bonus match up to $100. This episode also brought to us by Built. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you gotta, might as well get something for it, right? That's where Built comes in. They're changing the game by turning your rent into rewards that you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points. Those points can be redeemed towards hundreds of hotels, airlines, future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, you name it, they got it. Turn your rent into rewards. Start making points around your neighborhood. Go to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Use the link so they know we sent you. All right, Jack, real quick here. I want to get into the biggest X factor from tonight.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
Maybe a name we haven't heard of. I'm just guessing where we're going to go tonight, but you laid on us. Tell me what you think. Biggest X factor tonight in this one, Jack. Who was it and why?
Yeah, for me, it was Bones Highland. And I think Finchie deserves some credit for, pressing the Bones button at the right time. And, it was just a night where Wolves probably needed a little bit more size against a team like the Suns, who have a lot of really physical defenders that are a little stockier in terms of, having Jordan Goodwin and Ryan Dunn and Grayson Allen and Dylan Brooks and Royce O'Neal. So I think that had to do with it. And he's just looking for a spark, right? I mean, Wolves had 0 bench points at the time that Bones Highland checked into the game. And I think for him, made the second 3 of the game for the Wolves as a whole. The Suns were up 16-0 in bench points before Bones checked into the game. And he just came out. I mean, he's a veteran guy. He knows exactly what his role is. He knows exactly how he's going to go out and play. And that's be really confident, look to score first, and be willing to spot up all over the floor. And if that open catch and shoot 3 isn't there, then put it on the deck and try to get inside and either finish with a pretty creative finishing package that he has, or look to get the ball to the second side and then let things go from there. And so I think for Bones, again, he had played 90 seconds come over the last 8 games coming into tonight, and then gives you 14 points in 16 minutes. I mean, Bones Highland, 4 of 6 from 3. Anthony Edwards, 3 of 7 from 3. Everybody else was 4 of 29 from 3.
Not great.
I mean, just pretty remarkable the way that he just confidently stepped in, had 14 points, 3 assists, and I don't think he turned the ball over in this game. He had 3 turnovers. Okay, so probably playmaking could have been better from Bones, but again, I think he's in there more so to be able to provide a pop and score. And I think it was just interesting to me that Rob Dillingham has been fine. Like, he hasn't been the reason why the Wolves have been, getting crushed or getting behind in these games for at least from my view. I mean, he certainly contributed to, the Wolves at both times being good, both times being bad. But I just think it's going to be interesting, like how he handles this. Because if Rob Dillingham had 14 points and 3 assists in 16 minutes, it would be like Bones needs to be in the Rob needs to be in the rotation from now on. Like, this is awesome. Let's take the training wheels off. Like, let's get him going. And I think for Bones to just have that confidence and know that I'm coming in to gun and score. And it's just going to be interesting, because I feel like after a performance like that, you got to give him another look. And so if Bones is able to run with that, especially in a time where Mike, it just feels like it's 1.5 steps forward, 2 steps back with him on the offensive end of the floor. I'm just curious to see how Chris Finch is going to handle that. I think the point guard spot or just the lead guard spot is certainly something the Wolves are going to want to address. Maybe not even necessarily on the offensive end of the floor, which is saying something, but the defensive end of the floor, right? I think, for as good as Jalen Clark and Jaden McDaniels are, I still think the Wolves have some serious issues guarding guys that are really quick off the deck. And so I wonder if that's something that they may choose to try to address. And the unfortunate reality is that the Timberwolves want to acquire a player of consequence, that either Rob Dillingham or Mike Conley are likely the two guys whose salaries would be outgoing in that type of trade. So we'll end up seeing what happens, but I just think that the Wolves are at a point where it's just kind of a point of no return in the sense of
committed,
figuring out exactly what you need to do with that kind of that backup 1-2 combo spot.
A lot of great points, a lot of great talkers as usual, Jack. After a frustrating night, frustrating game, frustrating finish, T-Wolves 5-game win streak snapped 108-105. That's your final. 15-9 now on the year. Much love to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from game to game. You guys were great tonight as always. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow Jack too at JR Borman 13. We'll catch you back here Friday night. Another late one. It's Golden State. That's a 9 p.m. tip. Until then, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time. Signing out.